Hi, I'm Claire Riley and I'm one of the leaders of Trinity Church. Today we're having church at home because we can't get out and about because of the COVID-19 crisis. I'm so delighted that you've chosen to join us today, even if you're still in your pyjamas. It's been a weird few weeks, being sent home from school and not being able to get out and about. But I'm hoping that as we look at a story today in Luke 8 about how Jesus calmed a storm, that it'll give us something to think about and something to hope for. Maybe after you've listened to this and you've read the story yourself, you might like to draw a picture or act out the story or do something else that the story has reminded you of or taught you. And you could send it in to us at the Trinity Church office, or you could put it on Instagram and tag Trinity Church on it. No matter what, I'm delighted that you're with us today. And I hope that as we listen and talk and think together, that we'll remember that we've got a very big God who's always by our side, and he wants to be with us in this time. So you have to use your imagination here. It says in the story, one day Jesus said to his disciples, let's cross to the other side of the lake. So I want you to imagine that this tub is the lake. In they go, guys. These are the boats. Now, the boats have very strange disciples in them. But you can imagine, there they are in their boats. It says, let's cross to the other side of the lake. So they got into the boat and started out. As they sailed across, Jesus settled down for a nap. But soon a fierce storm came down on the lake. Fierce storm, guys. The boat was filling with water, and they were in real danger. The disciples went and woke up Jesus, shouting, Master, Master, we're going to drown, we're going to drown. When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the waves and the wind and the raging waves. Suddenly the storm stopped. Well, let's have a bit more storm, guys. A bit more storm first. And then suddenly the storm, they drowned. Suddenly the storm stopped. Suddenly the storm stopped. And all was calm. All was calm. Can you rescue them?
Nope.
All was calm. Then he asked them, where is your faith? The disciples were terrified and amazed. Who is this man, they asked each other. When he gives a command, even the wind and the waves obey.
Help me.
I suppose that wasn't really that like the Sea of Galilee, and those weren't really that like the disciples in their boats, but you get the idea. I hope you liked James and Daniel's reenactment of the story of Jesus calming the storm. It may not have been very realistic, but it gives you an idea of what happened. Perhaps this might be a more realistic picture of what happened. This is a picture by Seeger Coder called Be Calm, the Closeness of God. As you can see, the disciples are in the boat and the storm has really blown up around them. Can you see where Jesus is? Yes, he's at the back of the boat. He's fast asleep. The disciples don't look very calm, do they? They look scared and stressed. They really don't know what's going to happen. They're in real danger and they feel it. You've probably read or heard this story before, but often when we read a story again, we notice something different, and today I noticed something about this story. What I noticed was that before the storm blew up, the disciples were doing something very ordinary. They were crossing the lake in a boat, something they'd done many times before. But then something changed and they were in danger. These last weeks have been a bit like that. There we were, going about life, and it was completely normal. We went to school, we went home, we did our homework, went to football, or to the playground, or to the shops. We visited our grandparents' or our auntie's house. And then suddenly things changed. We stopped going to school, we stopped going to football and to the shops. We stopped going to our friends' houses and to our grannies. And a storm has blown up in our world. That's why things have changed. Maybe you've heard some of what is going on the radio or seen it on the TV. Maybe you haven't really noticed what's happening, but it could be that you're feeling scared or a bit stressed. That's to be expected. Maybe you feel, and I feel like this, maybe you feel like the disciples on the boat in the middle of the storm. So what do? We need to do what the disciples did and shout out to Jesus, help! We're in trouble! We sometimes sing, I've got a very big God, he's always by my side. And you know what, it's true. Even though we can't see him or we may not hear his voice, God is by our side. It's a bit like us in the boat, and Jesus is in the boat with us. Perhaps your parents might help you think about how Jesus could calm the storm that's in Ireland right now. When the disciples shouted to Jesus, what happened? That's right, he stood up and he calmed the storm. It actually says that he gave out to, he rebuked the wind and the waves. Then it was calm again. Wonder how the disciples felt when the storm stopped. I think Jesus wants to remind you that he's with you and that he wants to travel through this storm with you over these next weeks. He wants you to ask him for help, and he will help you. He'll give you peace, he'll take away the feeling that you have of being scared, and he'll help the people that you ask to help. You ask him to help. He'll help you, he'll help your parents, he'll help the people who are working in the hospitals and in the shops and on the buses and in the trains. So let's pray and ask Jesus in our boat to help us, to calm the storm, and to help us to be like him and be with him during this time. Bye, talk to you soon.